The mammoth watched us through lazy eyes. It didn't seem very threatening, but it was so big that it frightened me anyways. Sometimes I'm a real steady mouse. My uncle was delighted. He had studied prehistoric period for years, so seeing its creatures in real life was a wonder. Now what do we do? I asked. The enormous animal headed into a jungle that we hadn't yet explored, and we followed. The vegetation was astounding. It was all from an ancient time. There were strange creeping vines and flowers, ferns covered in thorns, and enormous palm trees. The ground was covered in a carpet of moss, pine needles, and fossils. My uncle examined the plants and declared, "This forest must have been underwater at one time." "How can you be sure?" I asked. He explained, "Don't you see how many shells are on the ground? And this kind of vegetation descends from marine plant life, I'm positive." I was speechless. How much time needed to pass for the sea to transform into a forest? It must be many thousands of years. I was about to ask a ton of questions when I saw Hans pointing to something in the distance. I squinted and my blood froze. Coming towards the prehistoric jungle was a person, but as he approached, we saw that he was a giant. He had to be over 12 feet tall. My uncle flinched. "The legendary caveman. Come, let's get closer." Hans walked to finish building a new raft, so he went back to the beach. But my uncle and I made our way through the ferns. In a few places the plants were so thick that we couldn't even see our paws. At last we popped out into a clearing. Just a few paw steps from the giant. We had messy hair that hung all the way down his back and such powerful muscles that they seemed to be made of marble. He wore a simple tunic and used a tree trunk as a club. He seemed peaceful as he stood in the middle of the forest watching the mammoth, or actually several mammoths, because the first mammoth had joined up with others, a whole herd. The giant acted like a shepherd with his flock. He watched over the mammoths, made sure they were eating, and took care that they didn't wander off. My uncle whispered, "Do you think he's dangerous?" I replied, "I have no idea, but we'd better not disturb him. You never know." But my uncle insisted, "Oh, we could just say hello to see how he reacts. It would be an important scientific discovery to find out if caveman was social or aggressive. Anyway, I could try to speak to him. Who knows what language he speaks? Maybe he doesn't speak at all." But in any case, we could communicate with gestures. I'd love to know what he's thinking about, what he eats, what he dreams about. I interrupted him. "Well, we are not going to find out because we are not going to call out to him. We can't risk him attacking us." My uncle shrugged. "We can always escape." I objected. "What if he follows us?" "Oh, don't be silly. Where's your sense of adventure?" I shook my snout. I had no intention of risking my life to chit-chat with a prehistoric giant. I declared being brave doesn't mean being irresponsible, and we can't know what a caveman is thinking. We might scare him. We should be careful." My uncle sighed. "You are probably right, but it's such a shame." So very quietly we retreated into the ferns, carefully not to make a noise. Once we were a short distance away, we took off running. I don't know if the giant ever noticed us, but we certainly hadn't had noticed him. The sight of him was imprinted on our memories, as was seeing that herd of mammoths grazing in that amazing prehistoric jungle. My uncle said, "Come on, let's go back to Hans. I bet he's done great work on the raft." I nodded. I was ready to head back to the cave, but I realized that I'd lost the way. Street. Uncle, do you by chance remember which way we came from? I asked. He peered all around. I think from that way. No, wait, over there. Or maybe from over there. Modi mozzarella. Even my uncle wasn't sure how to find his way in this strange landscape. We were lost again.